Diets needed us to come back. They needed you to be powerless. They just didn't work. You know, I got to a stage where I was doing diets where someone would show me a banana and a canister of cream. And I'd be like, well, the canister of cream is obviously better for me. I am determined to have binge eating and powerlessness and lack of trust that people have as a direct result of weight loss diets to die with my generation.
You wrote a book about that topic, called The Last Diet. Why did you call it The Last Diet?
Because I will never go on a diet again.
Why?
And I don't want anyone to go on a diet again. They didn't work. They just didn't work. Like whenever anybody says to me like, yeah, but so-and-so is overweight and it's unhealthy or whatever, they have to go on a diet. I'm like, well, no, actually quite the contrary. I'm now working with people who have not only been left not with the physical results that they wanted, but have been left with a much more serious issue, which is an eating disorder, a binge eating disorder, which is wildly damaging their mental health and their self-esteem and their ability to enjoy their lives. Most of the people who come to me now couldn't give a shit about losing weight anymore. They're like, remove this lack of trust, remove this powerlessness, like make this end. How did this come about? And that was because of weight loss diets, in my opinion.
On the back of this book, it says, this is the last diet you'll ever go on.
Yeah.
What is that diet?
It's the diet of learning to stop of trusting yourself and taking common sense advice. Now, obviously, we can go into like whose body what and blood types and da-da-da-da. But ultimately, the people I speak to are doing so many of their behaviors are causing them to gain weight, a lot of weight, because of the guilt and the shame and the all or nothing and the scarcity mindset and the feast or famine that has come with weight loss diets with the best of intentions. And so once they have managed that and built the self-efficacy that they so deserve from managing to break the all or nothing thinking, trust themselves around food, learn to enjoy food again, sit in the discomfort of realizing that they're going to be okay without it, get on board with the fact that they find it hard when other people don't, and build their self-esteem that way and use the unhelpful behaviors as a vehicle to remembering how capable they are, then they can just take the same advice they would give to another person because they're not scared of food anymore and they're not scared of themselves anymore. And they like themselves, so they're more inclined to make judgments that feel smart. You know, I got to a stage where I was doing diets where someone would show me a banana and a canister of cream and I'd be like, well, the canister of cream is obviously better for me. That's how messed up diet. And do you know what? I know you think it's weird. I assure you I've spoken to enough people now who are going, I know exactly what she's talking about. That's the extent to which intelligent people start moving away from intelligent decisions, because diets needed us to come back. They needed you to be powerless. They need you to need guidelines, or else you need to pay more and pay someone else and go find another guru or get another diet, as opposed to teach you how to take the same advice you'd give another person. There is no way that if someone was trying to manage their weight and they ate something bad, you would say, oh, well, you've blown it now. You should have 15 more.
You said earlier you secretly had a gastric band fitted.
Mm-hmm. Well, secretly, close friends knew, but a lot of my close friends didn't know. I was just done. When I got to my heaviest, I was like, that's it, I'm done.
How heavy?
126 kilos.
And then you had it removed in like an emergency operation?
Yeah, I'm always careful about talking about it because, again, I'm afraid that people are going to be... Actually, do you know what? I'm not promoting it by any means, sorry. I know that there are people for whom it's been really helpful, but it did not teach me to eat differently. And the reason I had an emergency operation is because my relationship with food was so profoundly important to me. I didn't understand at the time that I've never talked to anyone about this, but the band moved because I overate. But I kept having it tightened because I didn't want to be allowed to overeat, because I thought if I've done this to myself, and honestly, Steve, like the pain, it was horrible. It was horrible. I felt so ashamed. And then I lost a bunch of weight because it actually can, I won't go into details, but it can cause a different eating disorder. I lost a bunch of weight. And people started being really nice. Like, you know, they reflect back to you your worst fears when you lose weight. They'll be like, oh, wow. We were so worried about you. Finally, now you can live your life. And you're like, shit, I thought that was just me. And then I felt ashamed because I thought like I'd copped out. And now I realize on reflection, it's extraordinary that I thought I'd copped out. And do you know what? The first version of the kindness method doesn't have that in it. I wasn't ready. I hadn't forgiven myself for being so mean to myself. I hadn't forgiven myself for feeling so shameful. And I hadn't told some of my closest friends who were there at the time, and I'm sure knew, but had the grace and the kindness not to embarrass me. But it was horrible. And the day I came out of surgery, I remember with the emergency surgery, they told me they were going to try and keep it in. And I remember I came out and the woman went, I'm really sorry we had to take it out. And I burst into tears of joy. I hated it. I hated the whole thing. I hated the lying, I hated the shame, I hated the guilt. My body didn't feel good. Because even when I lost weight, it wasn't because I was taking care of myself. It's because I was living on so little. It just felt like another version of punishment, you know? It did not do good things for me.
How do you feel about that person that you were, that young woman who made the decision to fit that band and went through all of that pain? How do you feel about her?
I can't believe how quick she was to think that people would be upset with her or ashamed of, or that she should be ashamed. I can't believe there wasn't that extra layer that said, gosh, this is tough. This isn't nice. Look what you're having to put yourself through, or you think you have to put yourself through. There wasn't even a bit of that. It was as though I was born with the knowledge. It's as though I had told myself that I was born with the knowledge to make the best decisions for myself ever, and if I wasn't, then it was a failing on my part and I was faulty. And I don't feel that anymore, thank goodness. I think it's also important to remember that I was all the great things I am now then. That was the point. I was allowed to enjoy my life then. So there's also part of me that's just like, wow, it's a real shame. It's a real shame that you didn't kind of lean into the other stuff. Because I was always fun, I was always funny, I was always kind. I wish I had known at that age that you're allowed to think that you're good things too. That's okay.
What is your mission now? What's your personal mission? What are you trying to do in the world?
It's twofold. I want to convince people that kindness gets shit done. Being nice to yourself and taking the same advice you would give the people you love and closing the gap between what you would tell them and what you tell yourself and what actions you would tell them to take and what actions you take yourself. That's kindness, and it gets shit done. 1. And 2, now that I've seen what's come back from the second book with The Last Diet, I am determined to have binge eating and powerlessness and lack of trust that people have as a direct result of weight loss diets to die with my generation. Like, it's got to go. Because people my age, they know they don't want to pass this on to their kids. No one does. It's going with me.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.